through things. All right. And so our lives and our evolution, as you will, as men, we should start out, obviously giving light, what I mean, like a light bulb. All right. That just provides light for whomever is in that room. All right. And then we evolve into more of a, floodlight so that now we can give light to others. All right. That's very important. But then lastly, that evolution, lastly, it comes down to focus. You know what I mean? And that when light is focused to such a degree, it can cut through steel. That's why we have lasers. It can do surgery, you know what I mean, without leaving and minimize scars. And so that is the importance of evolution, evolving as a man, even in our vision. All right. And then I just want to leave one last thing with you guys, because we're talking about rising and embracing, our callings. And they're primarily three. There may be, I don't know, you can go about six or seven different types of callings. That word calling, you guys know, is a Greek word, kaleo, you know what I mean? And that is, God called Moses out from the burning bush. He called, Jesus called Peter, when he was fishing. There's so many different things and different calls. God called Noah, to build an ark when there was nobody righteous in that generation. And so God is always calling men. He's always calling men. The world, in my opinion, is in the state that is in because many men are not answering the call. And the men that have answered the call, unfortunately, they're still at, light bulb level. They're at floodlight level and have never got focused. They've never really just tightened and tightened and tightened, that vision so that now it can do surgery, it can repair, it can, again, it can cut through metal. That is what laser light focus can do. But now, that being said, the primary calling of every man, and I suppose I'll start with Adam, number one, is that relationship with God. That's a universal calling. That is that place within man that no one can feel, that alcohol can't feel it. The pursuit, of relationships can't feel it. The pursuit of earning money. What profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? We all know that the love of money is the root of all evil. All right. And so by virtue, not money, but the love of it, the improper relationship with it, prioritizing incorrectly whenever it comes to money, that is the root of all evil. And so sometimes we do that through through industry, but we do it through industry that is not restrained. You follow me? And so when industry is not restrained, now we have men that overwork themselves. We allow their industry, our pursuit of other things, to push, our and crowd out our relationship with God. Matthew 6 and 33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added. And so God will do all of that if we are first fulfilling that ultimately first calling that it was to Noah. And that's a universal call to God. All right. The scripture says over in Ecclesiastes, it says, "Fear the Lord." It said, let us hear the whole conclusion of matter. God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. And so the primary calling that every man has, number one, is to fear the Lord. Why fear the Lord? Why is that the primary one? Because the Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Wisdom is what assists us in making wise decisions, in developing wise plans, in properly discerning atmospheres and timings and pursuits and everything that comes along with that. That is wisdom. Well, we gain that wisdom again through the fear of the Lord, the reverential awe of God, or the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Well, that is that relationship with God. We develop that, the fear of the Lord, the reverence with God by spending time with him. That's the first calling that Adam had, was to fear God. He walked with God in the cool of the day, getting to know God. All right. So that's the first universal call that every man has. That is why he is seeking to fill every man. He's seeking for every man to hopefully, when he knocks on the door of every man's heart, that men invite him in and can sup with him. That is that place. That is that place that's reserved only for him. Nothing else can fill it, or no matter how much we acquire or attain, will always feel empty. That is the part that is so empty that it drives men that have attained so much, gain stature and virtue and renown, I mean, and notoriety, can still blow their brains out. And you're asking why? It is because they tried to fill that space that only God can fill to answer that universal calling that every man has. And unfortunately, they were unwilling to answer it or did not clearly understand what it was. All right, so that's the universal calling of man, and that's to fear the Lord. All right, and keep His commandments. So that's the whole duty of man. Then the next one is, if you notice this, is the vocational calling. All right, a vocational. Once God called Noah, all right, as you were. Once God called Adam, and He created Adam, He put him in the garden to work it and to keep it. All right. Now that work and keep means to cultivate and to multiply. All right. And so he had to cultivate the garden. That requires that focus again, right? It requires he had to cultivate the garden with the intention of multiplying it, because you cannot multiply that which has not been cultivated. All right. And that which has not been watered and fertilized. All right. That, a seed has to be, the ground has to be, broken up. And then the seed has to go in the ground. Then it has to be cultivated and everything that comes along with that. All right. And then you got to pull the weeds so that, it doesn't choke the nutrients from the seed. And then ultimately it produces a tree, which now produces fruit, all right, which gives more seed, which thus leads to multiplication. And so multiplication does not come without cultivation. All right. And so that is based upon vocation. So there's a universal call to fear the Lord, Him to be priority of our lives. Then there is a vocational call. All right. And that is to be responsible in the industry or the garden that God gives us, the field. All right. A garden is a field. And so that is industry, your field of work, education, your field of work, real estate, your field of work, whatever it is. All right. And so that's the second calling, which is vocational. And then the third one I want to just drop a nugget on today is relational, the relational call. We all are called to relationships where, like Stephen is called to relationship with men. I'm called to relationship with men. I'm called to relationship with youth. I'm called to relationship with, congregants, if you will. I'm called to relationships with, government leaders. I'm called to relationships with business leaders. And so we all are called to relationships. I'm called to relationship with my children, with my siblings, relational. That is that, we've got that universal calling, which is vertical. Then we've got the vocational calling, and then we've got the third calling, which is, watch this, is horizontal. Okay. And at the heart of the vertical and at the horizontal, that is where in a cross, if you look at it, that is the heart of that. That is the middle of that. So when the vertical and the horizontal align, that's the heart of God. Meaning we have the proper relationship with Him, we have the proper relationship with other individuals, and that is at the center of that, where those two vertical and horizontal dissect. It's at the center. That's the heart of God, in my opinion. So, by virtue of that, if you notice with Adam, after he had that universal calling, he accepted that. All right. Then he accepted also that vocational calling. And then the last one was the relational calling. You guys recall that in the book of Genesis, that once he was being responsible and laser-like focused, in his vision, naming the animals, cultivating the garden, multiplying the seed. The Bible says that there was no helper that was found for him. And so now here comes that relational calling. All right. Because God does not want it to be out of order. If you get the relationship before you get God, then sometimes you reverence the relationship before God. Or if you get answer the calling to your vocation before God, now we're working all the time and we're crowding out God. You understand that? And so it has to be in that order. The universal call to men, relationship with God, fear God, keep His commandment. The secondary call is vocation. Because what happens is, if we answer the relational call prior to the vocational call, then sometimes the relational call, it gets the most precedence over them all. And now we're not in our industry, our vocation the way that we should. And we're not in our vocation the way that we should, then we can't take care of the people God has called us to be responsible for from a relational standpoint. And so, therefore, God says, Adam, I want you to be correct with me. I want you to be in alignment with me, number one. Number two, I want you to be alignment in your industry. Number two, I want you to be focused on what I've called you to do, the plans that I have for you to prosper you. And that comes through vocation. Now that you have mastered vocation, Adam, now I can bring a relationship. I can trust you with number one, a wife. He brings Eve. Now I can trust you with children. You guys see how this is working? It starts with Eve, that marriage, that relational calling to that marriage, then that relational calling to the children. Then ultimately, Adam and Eve had service through their children. You understand? That begin to reproduce in the earth. And so now his relational call even goes out to many other people so that Jesus wraps it all up and says that he's the second Adam that comes to redeem mankind relationally back to the Father. I will leave it at that. But those are three callings I want to drop on you guys today. Once again, that universal calling unto God. That second one, that vocational calling. And number three, that relational calling. All right, let us be as responsible and as laser focused as we possibly can. Give light to the world as much as we possibly can through that floodlight mentality. Light up your room like a light bulb. But ultimately, we've got to narrow and tightly focus our vision, you understand, so we can cut through things like a laser and we can heal things and not leave scars like a laser in surgery. Guys, that's all I have for you this morning. I've
Hang
got
on,
to
hang
get
on.
to this building and assist someone else in cleaning it. But I appreciate you, Steve, for inviting me on. And hopefully you guys took away something from what I shared.
Maurice, thank you so much for coming up. First of all, how do people connect with you, brother? Do you have a way that people can connect with you and get on with your social media so they know how to get with you after this?
My brother, I tell you this, man. Stephen will tell you, man, I am not a social media guru. One thing that I don't even like is social media. I'm improving in that regard. People say, man, you got a lot to say to get out there. So in 2026, I'm going to do a much better job.
Good job.
But Maurice Ravel, Instagram, Maurice Ravel, just as my name is on the screen here. Facebook, same thing. I have a public, a public figure page on Facebook, Maurice Ravel. I think it's public figure with a red jacket, if I'm not mistaken. Twitter at Revel Maurice. All right. Instagram, Flow Music Collective. You can go out there, follow that page. You know, you'll see a little bit more about that in the coming months. And I think that's roughly about it, my brother.
All right, cool. Okay, so what you just heard was not theory, that was order, you guys. And before assignment is alignment, and before vocation, devotion, and before relationship, reverence. You know,
Mhm.
you reminded us that when things get out of order, even good things can become distractions. And when God is not first, everything else starts competing for his place. That message was necessary and it was timely because this room is full of men who are building, we're leading,
Mhm.
we're working, and we're creating. You know, and the reminder today is simple but powerful. Get the order right, and everything else falls into place. Thank you, Maurice, for the clarity, that wisdom, and the truth. Go ahead, Stephen. We can't hear you. Stephen, we can't hear you. Hold on one second. Let me get you up here,
There
brother.
you go. Can you hear me now? I had to
Yes.
hit the mic. All right. So anyway, Pastor, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come here today, celebrating with us. And I thank you for all those kind words and the wisdom that you always drop. It's really been blessing me over the years, and I'll continue looking for. And if anybody's looking to a great church to come and fellowship at, we're in Rock Hill at the Well Church. I wasn't sure if you're going to share that, but I want to at least extend that invite for anybody who ever can come and visit and to connect with a good fellowship and also have strong men. This is a great place. And so we meet on Sunday, excuse me, at 9 a.m., 9:30 actually, meet it there now. 9:30 a.m. on Sundays at Well Church here in Rock Hill. That's 135 South Oakland Avenue. Look forward to seeing you.
Did a
Let's
wonderful
go.
job, my brother. Appreciate you guys. Hate that I got to run. Wish I could have stayed for the remainder of this time together, but appreciate you inviting me on. Peace. Go kill it,
Let's
guys.
go.
No doubt.
Thank
Be
you,
great,
brother.
guys.
Cool. Okay, so to now who we have up next is someone who's amazing. He knows what he's talking about. He's doing what he's doing in the space where he needs to be and knows his mission. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up our brother Glenn in the building. How you doing, Glenn Brown? Welcome in. Welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank God. Doing good. I enjoyed everything Pastor had to say. And I tell you, I went to his service years ago, and he was just like he was today. He was just so real, and just so easy to identify with. And when my wife came down, I took her to the church, and she loved it.
Let's
But
go.
yeah, so anyway, praise God, praise God. I'm glad to be
Praise
a part
God.
of this meeting today. So I'm just going to jump right in. I know we don't have much time, but what I wanted to talk about today was basically, initially I was going to talk about anxiety. Um, but I think the more appropriate word would be apprehension, because I want to narrow my focus to business, to leadership, to stepping into new roles. And anxiety anxiety. The word anxiety gets a bad rap because anxiety is normal. I mean, it's something that we all experience and should experience. If you, I don't know, when you were younger, you probably enjoyed riding a roller coaster. Well, that's anxiety, and that's that adrenaline rush. That's that rapid heartbeat. That's a part of, but it's in a controlled environment. It gives you pleasure, right? If you're watching an action movie or you're watching a horror movie, what you're really feeling is anxiety. You're getting that adrenaline, you're getting that rush. That's really anxiety in a controlled environment. So you welcome that because you can control it. Where it becomes counterproductive is where we feel that we are not in control when we're faced with a situation that looks larger than us. And we feel like we don't have the capacity to meet the challenge. Then it becomes a situation where it becomes abnormal anxiety. Good example might be, you're called to speak before administration or to do a public speaking assignment with your job. And a lot of times I'm working with people who I coach people through those type of situations, and they become fearful because first of all, they're talking to superiors. And in the past, they may have had experiences where they trembled or their voice started cracking, and it was just an embarrassing situation. And so people have to be coached through that situation. And the problem is they don't feel like they have the capacity to meet that challenge, which they actually do. And I hear this a lot of times from people who identify themselves as introverts. I'm an introvert, and I don't like being in front of people. And it's hard for me to be in a crowd. And can you help me with, being an introvert? And being an introvert, first of all, is not a mental health disorder. It's not a mental illness. Being an introvert is a personality trait. So being an introvert doesn't mean you have to change. Introverts don't have to change who they are. That's their personality. They don't have to change who they are. An introvert, you're naturally going to be have a smaller circle of those inner friends because you're not as outgoing. Introverts do tend to see the world as a little more threatening, and introverts tend to, of course, not want to be in a crowd. But we can coach you through that. So I get people who are introverts, they feel like it's a hindrance to them moving forward in their profession. There's an opening that they'd like to apply for, but it means maybe entering to upper management or something like that. But they feel like this personality trait of being an introvert is an obstacle. So we work through that and we coach them through that. And there are things that you can do to prepare yourself for specific situations where you know that you have to put yourself in the forefront, stand before a crowd, give a presentation, something like that. There are things that you can do in order to prepare yourself for that. And one of the things that we have people do is really over prepare. If you're giving a half an hour speech or lecture, make sure you have an hour's worth of material. Now, I also send people a virtual homework assignment, and that is learning to, and some of you may have heard of this, to control your breathing, uh, muscle relaxation, controlled breathing, which scientifically has been proven to lower blood pressure, but actually it also improves focus. Think about it. When you're anxious, one of the things you lose is focus, right? You start to become forgetful. When you're over anxious, you become forgetful. You lose focus. So by practicing muscle relaxation, and it's an assignment that I send to people and I ask them to do it several times a day, at least 3 times a day, during the course of their day. It only takes about 5 minutes. So you can do it during your lunch break. You can do it early in the morning when you get up. You can do it in the evening before you go to bed. And I ask people to do this when they're not feeling stressed, because we want it to kick in when you enter a stressful situation, that you have this skill and this technique that you can use. So we practice it. And what it does is it helps you to control your body, your muscle, the tension that you feel in your body. When you can control the tension that you feel in your body, that gives you control over the situation, so that you feel better prepared, so that you don't become forgetful, and that you don't start to, your voice doesn't start to crack and you don't shake, because you have this skill now that you can employ that no one knows you're using. Muscle relaxation, deep breathing is a skill that no one knows you're using. You can use it publicly in front of people. No one will know it but you. But you practice it privately. But when you find yourself in that situation when you know you might become anxious, you can employ this skill and no one knows it but you. The other part of it is when people feel anxious about doing presentations or being in leadership roles, a lot of it is internal. People outwardly don't know unless you give them the cue, unless you show them that you're anxious or that you're nervous. It's inward. It's what's going on inside your own head. That's really the challenge. And what's going on inside your own head is, oh, they're going to know I'm nervous, or I might forget my material, or, I might be in back. That's all internal. You can control that. And when you can control that, oftentimes you can be anxious inside. People outside won't even know it if you learn to control it. So this is what I help people to do. Because like I said, sometimes the positions open up at work, they like to apply, but they feel like this personality trait of being an introvert is something that's going to get in the way. There are a couple of other terms I'll throw at you, and one of them is internal locus of control. And this is something we talked about in school when I was in psychology. Internal locus of control, and then there is external locus of control. Internal locus of control says, I am in control of my destiny, basically. That I know that there are obstacles and there are challenges that I will face and I will have to negotiate, but I feel like I can succeed. External locus of control says, others or outside forces are largely in control of my destiny. That if I meet obstacles or challenges that are bigger than me, I may fail. So internal locus of control, external locus of control. And it's basically how people think, how people face challenges. And let's use starting a business as an example. When I was starting my business, my counseling service, one of the things I started thinking about was, well, you got to, of course, you got to get a brand, you got to get a name, you got to, all the laws and the legal intricacies of starting a business. You got to, how to pay your taxes, and you got to, know how to employ people, all this type of stuff. But internal locus of control says, okay, I know that I'm going to meet all these challenges. I know that there are obstacles. And I believe, though, that even in spite of that, that I'll succeed. So when I met obstacles, when I came up against challenges that were bigger than me, I didn't know what to do, because I have an internal locus of control. I believe that I ultimately will succeed. Either I educated myself, I gained knowledge about the situation or the law and how to negotiate it, or I employed somebody who knew. Of course, you have to employ, somebody who knows taxes, somebody who's an attorney, or I employed somebody who had the skills I didn't have to fill in those gaps where I didn't have the resources within myself. But I didn't quit. And that's the difference with someone who has an internal locus of control. You meet the obstacles, you meet the challenges, they're there, they're real. Some of them are big, they may take time to negotiate. Some of them are not easily negotiated. You may have to bring in outside resources that you don't have, but ultimately you believe that you can succeed. So you keep pressing forward. External locus of control is somebody that might say, man, I never knew I'd meet this challenge, it's bigger than me, and they give up. And the latter is who we don't want to be. We don't want to be that person that gives up. And you don't know when you start out, starting, a business or something like that, you don't know what challenges you're going to meet. Some of them are unexpected. Some challenges are unforeseeable and unexpected, and they may catch you by surprise. But when you have an internal locus of control and you have that self-confidence, you believe, okay, I know those challenges are out there. When they come, I'll address them. And again, You may have to employ the services of people who have skills that you don't have, or even lean on somebody who's been through this before, who's done it already, and who succeeded. And you may have to look to that person for advice. And what I found is in the process of doing what I do, I work with a lot of professionals, and when I'm speaking to people, they're actually giving me advice. They don't even know it, but they're talking about their business, how they got started, things like that. And I'm taking in knowledge. I said, wow, okay, I'm just learning from them. It's not that they are purposely trying to give me this information, but in the course of our working together and be counseling, I'm getting these little nuggets that I'm kind of putting away because I feel like those things can be useful for me. So, so that's very important. And probably a lot of you may already be business owners, and you may already know a lot of this. But I'll put it out there for those of you who may not, and who may be embarking upon starting a business or contemplating starting a business. And I'll say you absolutely can succeed, but you really have to have the confidence and that internal locus of control. Another challenge I had was when I was asked to manage a few mental health clinics. I managed 4, and I was approached, and I was asked to manage these 4 clinics, and I kind of didn't feel like I was up to the challenge, and I knew that my role with my co-workers would change because I would step out of being their co-worker to being their supervisor, and that made me a little apprehensive. And then attending, management meetings and preparing reports. I hadn't done a lot of that, and so I wasn't really looking forward to that. And so I just stood back. I didn't apply for the position right away. And other people came to me. One of the doctors on the job said, "Hey, Glenn, look, you have the credentials, and I really like to see you move forward, and I think you'd be a good person to step into that role." And I said, "Okay, yeah, doc, I'll do it." But I didn't have any plans to do it. I was just telling him what I thought he wanted to hear. And then another person who had been with the company for 20 years or so came into my office and said, "Why are you going to let somebody come in this business and step ahead of you?" He said, "You have the credentials, you have this, you have that. Why are you going to let them hire somebody from outside and let them do a job and you already here?" And so I said, "Okay, you know what? I'll go ahead and apply for the position." And the moment I put my application in for the position, the director, chief medical officer, said, "Hey, look, I was waiting for you to apply. I'm glad you did." And I must say, and I know my time is just about up, so I'll wrap it up here. But I must say, some of the challenges that I thought would be there were there. They wanted me to do something called a position description, which is creating roles for new employees that they never hired before, but just preparing roles. And I never did it before. So I went online and did some research. I looked at some examples of, of those that had already been done. I spoke to some people and I, did it. I presented it and they thought it was great. And, management meetings in the beginning, I was at a loss, didn't know what they were talking about, but eventually you kind of get your foot in the door, and you kind of get used to it, and you fall into the position. So, I mean, and this is how I finalize what I'm going to say. These things stretch you, and they help you to reach your full potential. And I think one of the tragedies in life is not reaching your full potential, just, being stagnant in life because you become bored and life becomes just boring. You need to reach your full potential. What are you capable of? And you don't know, to tell you the truth. You don't know it unless you're faced with challenges that look bigger than you, situations that call you out of your comfort zone and force you to give more of yourself. And I would call it good stress, that you need to be faced with good stress that is good, stress that challenges you to be all that you can be. And reaching your full potential, it doesn't end when you're a senior, okay? Because there's always knowledge to gain. So throughout life, we should always be striving to reach our full potential. And stepping into these roles and being faced with challenges and things that call you upward, that challenge you to be more than what you think you are and what you think you can do, those are situations we should not shy away from. Like I said, look to other resources, be prayerful, look to other resources, gain knowledge, do research, uh, and step into the role. And you'll find out, like now that I'm in this role, I find that I can have uh, an effect on those who I supervise. I can protect them from things that they may want to put on them that I don't think is fair. I can protect them from that, and then I can give them rewards. I can help them grow as as workers, I can help them to grow. So that's about all I have to say about that, and I hope it's been helpful to someone.
Glenn, thank you, brother, for coming up. What you just gave us was not motivation. That was equipment. You remind us that anxiety does not mean weakness. It means the body is responding. And when you learn to control the body, you regain control of the moments. So breathing, muscle relaxation, focus, simple tools, but powerful when practiced with intention. You also made something very clear today. Much of what holds men back is not what is happening around them. It is what is happening inside their own head. And it can be a dangerous place when you're stuck in your own head. I know personally. So, and the truth is, most people never know you are anxious unless you tell them. When you build internal control, you can lead, you speak and step forward even while the nerves are present. So, the distinction between internal and external control is critical because when you shift from you know, reacting to circumstances to responding with skills, confidence begins to flow. So again, thank you for giving us practice and practical tools, not just insight, that was valuable, applicable and necessary. So again, thank you, Brother Glenn, for coming up and sharing so much knowledge and wisdom with us. We appreciate you so much for being here, brother. Again, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so, so much, my brother. All right, so we had something. I think I'm not sure if we were going to transition, but I think we're going to go ahead and keep on moving. We still have some time left. We got to get through our next presentations, and we want to just keep it moving. So we're going to go ahead and pass the baton to our one and only brother, Coach Arsenio. Welcome in, brother. How you doing, Coach Arsenio? If you can, tell us where you're at and some things about about yourself that people need to know.
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So, like you said, my name is Coach Arsenio. I am live from the Chi. I'm in Chicago, Chi Town. Yep. And I'm what you would call a fulfillment coach. So I help you go from thinking that achievement is the goal to understanding that living a life of fulfillment is actually what's required in order to live that life, all right, have a better quality of life. So shout out to the host, first of all, my boy, you're doing a great job with tying in the lessons at the end of every speaker, and I commend you for that. That is a skill. That's a skill. So proud of you. So I want to hop right in. I know I have a short period of time, so I want to give you guys as much value as possible while I'm here. Shout out to the host of all hosts, Stephen, for creating this space for us to share. And for everybody that's listening, I pray that you're getting what it is that you came to get from this. The two speakers before me were phenomenal. The ones that I saw were phenomenal. And so I'll get right into it. Today I'm going to be talking about our role as leaders, as men, right? Our roles as leaders, as men. So what I'm going to share with you guys is going to put you in a position to, like Brother Brown just said, not only live to your full potential, but also strengthen that light. So go from the floodlight to the laser beam light that's going to allow for you to heal and cut through things without damaging, like Brother Norris said earlier. All right. So one of the reasons why we called to be leaders, I think we can all agree that we're called to be leaders. And I'm going to talk to you guys as if y'all could respond to me because I'm so used to talking to groups of people where I can get some engagement and interaction. Right. We're called to be leaders as men. There's all men here on this call. We're called to be leaders. But the number one thing, what I found in my experience, in my 6+ years of coaching, is the number one thing that gets in our way of leading effectively is us. All right. Our host just said it is what's between our ears. These 3 to 4 inches for some of us. It might be more inches because, large heads. But that what's between those ears is what gets in our way that stops us from being leaders. We begin to think about all the things that's external, all the things that's outside of us that we can blame. And so I'm going to share 2 frameworks with you guys on today that's going to allow for you to live your full potential and tighten that light so you can be more effective and efficient in your role as a leader. Does that make sense? I'm going to assume that you said yes.
Yes,
that makes sense. Okay, thank you. Come on with the interaction. Let's go.
Woo, let's go.
All right. So the first framework is I call it the blame framework because this is the thing. So we got to identify what our goal is. Our goal is to lead effectively and efficiently. And then we got to identify what's stopping us from doing that. And you might feel like you're a great leader. You may be a great leader, but can you be better? There's no greater room in the universe than a room for improvement. So the first framework is the blame framework. Typically, what happens when we are a leader and things don't go as we plan, we blame. First, we blame, number one, circumstances and situation. That could sound like, man, the way I was raised on the west side of Chicago. You know, I had poor conditions. It was very dangerous. That's a circumstance or a situation for how I became, how I ended up at this stage of my life. Next, we blame other people. So when you feel yourself blaming, and analyze, what am I, am I level one blaming or level two blaming? We blame circumstances and situation or other people. And so other people, that sounds like, well, I was raised by a single parent mom. And as you guys may have figured out, these are the excuses or the ways that I blame. This is my story. West Side Chicago, brutal, bad conditions. Those were the excuses I was using. That's who I was blaming or what I was blaming. Other people. I was raised by a single parent mom. I didn't have a dad in my life. My dad was locked up for 20 plus years in maximum security prison. Circumstance, situations, other people. Well, my employees, they didn't show up on time or they wasn't dressed properly. We blame other people. It's not until you get to the third level of blame that you qualify for transformation in your life. And that's me, when you're able to blame yourself. So circumstances, situations, other people, and then when you're able to blame yourself, and I know that sounds kind of crazy, like I'm gonna blame me. I'm not, yes, you are. I'm the coach that's gonna keep it real with you and tell you that it's you, right? It's you. When you're able to blame yourself, now you can do the second framework. You can take full responsibility. And I'm gonna try to slow down. And host, forgive me for not saying your name. Let me know. Give me a sign when I'm going over my time because I could be long
All right.
winded.
I'll turn the music up like this. Look, if it's going a little too past it, I'll turn the music up like that.
Got you. Okay, I think I heard that. Tell me your name that you off
Just,
mute.
Justin Bird.
Okay, Justin Bird. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So yeah, I got you. So just to recap, before we move forward, we're called to be leaders, but the thing that gets in our way the most is me. I don't realize that yet though, because I blame circumstances, situations, I blame other people. It's not until I get to the third level of blame, which is me, that I can take full responsibility. We tracking. All right, good. And I pray that you guys are writing this down. There's a lot of great information being shared. You want to take copious notes so you can review this after this. There's a lot of heightened emotions, and this stuff will escape your brain
Right.
as soon as you leave. And so please take notes.
So $10,000 notes, y'all.
Yep, take the notes. And so that transitions us. So now we're ready to take full responsibility. And most people think they know what full responsibility is, Justin, but I'm here to tell you that you're probably mistaken. You might have some idea, but I'm gonna break it down to you thoroughly what full responsibility is. Right. And so there's three levels. That means three things when you're taking full responsibility. The first thing is taking responsibility for what you did in any circumstance or situation, taking responsibility for what it is that you did. And that's when most people understand that responsibility stops, it ends. There's two more levels. Taking responsibility for what you did is the simple version. So, an example of that for me in my past is I used to be addicted to gambling. I was addicted to gambling. I went to the casino. I started off going once a month, then every other week, and then every weekend, and then every week, and then every day, and then multiple times a day. How can a person go to the casino multiple times a day? When you have an addiction, you have a problem, it's possible. Trust me. So you take full responsibility for what you did. And what I did was allow myself to fall victim to the lie that this was freeing to me. This was my place to relax. This is my place to let my hair down, bald, but let my hair down, you know what I'm saying, and chill. That's what I did to put myself in that situation. Remember, we called to be leaders, and if you cannot lead effectively if your light is a floodlight and it's not a laser beam, right? And you're not living your full potential and you're blaming other people, circumstances, and situations. So, what you did, for those of you who are taking notes, the first step to full responsibility is taking responsibility for what you did. The second step to taking full responsibility is what you didn't do. Yeah, that one's a little bit harder because now you got to really be real with yourself. Like what I did cause this situation or scenario, but what I didn't do. There's some things I could have done that would have put me in a better position. And so what I didn't do was manage my money properly. And so I was under the delusion that I had extra funds. And because I got extra funds, I can go and spend this. I can go and gamble and play craps or roulette or the slot machines because I got extra. I didn't manage my money properly. And so I was telling myself a false story. I had a false narrative in my mind. And so I took responsibility for what I did. Then I took responsibility for what I didn't do. Once I was able to blame me, once I knew I was the person at fault, not my circumstances and situation, not my wife that's making me angry or upset, and I'm sitting in the garage 30 minutes before I walk into the house. That's a circumstance, situation, other person. That's what I was blaming at first. It was me, right? So that's the second step, what you didn't do. And I didn't manage my money properly. I had 3 businesses at the time, and I just had money coming in. And I felt like because I had so much money, I don't need to track this. I don't need to put it on the spreadsheet. I don't need to budget. I can just spend it. Once all the bills are paid, I could just spend however I want to. And my drug of choice was gambling. And this is the final phase. What you did, what you didn't do, and how you respond. Let that breathe a little bit. You want to take full responsibility of how you respond to any given situation that isn't favorable. So I was addicted to gambling. What I did was allow myself to embrace the lie that this was freeing. This is liberating for me. This is where I let my hair down. What I didn't do was manage my money properly. But how I responded, I kept creating more situations because I would leave the casino. Now I'm all relaxed and I come in, and all those hours that I was gone, I didn't wash the dishes. I didn't clean. I didn't manage the kids. I have 9 children. Imagine that, having 9 children and thinking that you got 5 hours to be at a casino without interaction with your wife or your children. And so when I come home, I'm hit smack in the face with all the things I neglected. And that caused another situation to make me want to do what? Let my hair down again. And so I'm itching. I can't wait until tomorrow, until I go leave the house again to be able to do it all over again. And so how I responded was extremely poor because I let the circumstances and the situations dictate my emotions, my thoughts, and my actions. And so I didn't take full responsibility. But once you take full responsibility, all 3 of those levels, all 3 of those steps is going to, again, like we said earlier, Brother Norris, is going to give you the ability to shrink that laser beam light down and get it precise with your leadership. You'll be able to lead your house like no other. And I'm going to tell y'all what the results are for being 3 years clean from gambling addiction. It's going to, like Brother Brown said, it's going to allow you to live your full potential once you take full responsibility. But it's scary because it's accountability. And I'm the one to blame. Nobody wants to be the bad guy in their own narrative, in their own story. Well, it's you. Nobody's perfect, but one, but God. He ain't here. Last time I checked, he don't look like me or you. He omnipresent. He's perfect, the only one. And so if I know I'm not perfect, and I know my life isn't exactly how I want it to be, it's me. If it is to be, it's up to me. But if it is, it's also because of me. So the reality that you're living in right now, evaluate, use this framework, these 2 frameworks, the blame framework and the full responsibility framework, to evaluate your current circumstances and situations and see where can I take full responsibility. And so on the back end of this, October 10th, 2025 made 3 years clean for me from gambling. I haven't been to a casino. I don't sports bet. I don't do the lottery. I don't do scratch offs. I don't do the Facebook bingo. I'm not saying anybody in this group does any of these things, but I don't do any of those things anymore. And now I have a completely hot V relationship with my wife. Honest, open, transparent, and vulnerable. Completely hot relationship with my wife. We talk about everything. As a matter of fact, last night I was like, bro, I'm so happy. I called her bro because we got that kind of relationship now. Bro, I'm so happy that I can tell you everything. I'm so happy that I don't have to hide. I don't have to sit in the garage. I'm so happy. And that has caused this last 3 years of our marriage to be blissful. What else has that gave me. I've now earned more income than I've ever earned. And I had three businesses back then. I'm focused on coaching, primarily coaching only. Yes, we have other sources of income, but with coaching, I've earned more in this business. When I took full responsibility for my reality, it put me in the position to do what it is that I love, live a life of fulfillment, and then be in the position to where I can have the possessions that this work has garnered me. And then finally, my children. I can't believe how, you know people with a lot of children. Now you know somebody personally, Arsenio Dotson with 9 kids. And since I've made this transition a lot, it's put us in a position to where we have 2 college graduates, 2 kids that's in college right now, no debt, no loans, none of that, because I took full responsibility for how I was draining our coffers and how I was draining my marriage and how I was draining myself personally. Justin, that is my talk. There's so much more I could say, but I do not want to exceed the time. I want to be respectful for the time. Shout out to you and shout out to Stephen for having me here. I think this is a great idea. And if the guys that are listening could make any decision on today, it is to join this Rise community. That is the best decision. If you like what you've heard so far, what I've shared, what the previous speakers have shared, this times 10 is what you're going to experience once you join this community.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Arsenio. Thank you so much. And what you just shared took a lot of courage, not because it was polished, but because it was honest. You broke down some things that every man in this room needs to hear. It was not the person, it was not the situation, it was not the circumstance, it was the response. All right. You showed us the cycle clearly, what we do, what we fail to do, and how we respond afterward. And when responsibility is avoided, the cycle repeats. So, not because life is unfair, but because ownership was delayed. So you reminded us that escape can feel like freedom in the moment, so to speak. But freedom without discipline becomes bondage over time.
Yes.
That part matters, right? And because when we do not manage what we are responsible for, it does not disappear, right? It waits for us and it multiplies. So again, thank you for naming it. Thank you for owning it. And thank you for showing what it looks like to stop blaming the outside and start leading from the inside. And to me, that was real. That was absolutely necessary. And that message will stay with people long after today. So again, thank you so much, Arsenio, for coming up and giving us that game. Just, letting us reflect on some of the things that we may not even be aware of ourselves, because it starts from within. I can blame anybody I want, but really it starts from within. I don't have to do anything if I don't want to. But right now is the time to start taking responsibility for my own actions. So again, brother, it was powerful you coming up here and sharing them with us. We thank you so much for being a part of this. And if there's any way people get a hold of you, how would you want them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I heard you ask that to a speaker earlier, and like the good Dr. Norris, I'm on social media, but I don't do a lot on social media. So this is the offer that I want to make to the men in this community and in the community only. What do I mean? You may be on this call and you might be on the ledge of deciding, should I be a Rise man or shouldn't I? So for anybody that decides to join this community, there's no limit. Anybody that decides to join this community get a free 1 hour session, one-on-one coaching session with myself. Right. And the value of that is I charge triple, sometimes 4 digits for those sessions. And so it's free for anybody. And I hope that that's okay with Stephen for me making that offer to the community. But anybody that decides to join today, you're going to get the link. Stephen or Justin, somebody's going to get it to you. Anybody that decides to join this community today, you'll get a free one-on-one session with myself.
All right, perfect. Stephen, how you feel about that? I think that's perfect. I would like to type something in the chat if there's a way to get to you. You're on mute, Stephen.
Right, let's figure this
Oh,
out.
there we go. Let me type it in the chat so people can get a hold of you, brother. If I can put something in the chat, let me just go type it.
How do I comment in this chat? Let's see.
It should be on.
All right.
Well, you just put my name. It's my name on all social media handles. Arsenio Dotson, ARSINEO DODSON. And then for anybody that joins, Stephen, who joins the community, I'll send you the Calendly link for them to book with me.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much, Arsenio, for making time to be here because you have done so many great things and you have a heart of servant to so many. And so I want to first thank you because with those who don't know, and I do want to properly put you out there. He's worked with some of the biggest names in the world. That are some of the great leaders, such as Eric Thomas, and even today you working with his right hand, Carl, and you cut time back to be here. So you make sacrifices to make sure, but also you're my coach. So for those who don't know, the way you see me move going forward, it's gonna be on him. So he definitely put me in place and showed me exactly what it takes to take what we're doing to the next level to really position ourselves to make impact and transformation. So I'm positioning myself to be around greats. So he's already worked with some others that's been great in the field. Why not connect yourself with others who are doing that? And so, man, I thank you so much for being having a serving heart to be willing to give because that's exactly what I've seen you from day one. You've been willing to go the extra mile to really help in the trenches to help your people that you have an opportunity to lead by serving them. And so, man, I thank you so much, my brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me here. And I
Look
look
forward
forward to the
to it,
rest
man.
of
We
your
got a
day.
great future ahead.
God bless you, brother. Thank you again.
Peace.
Be great. And also, I want to just say thank you also for the other speaker that came up, Mr. Glenn Brown, good friend. We've known each other for years, and we actually get a chance to go into prison together with a jail, one of the jails here and locally. And he's a great guy. He's a clinical therapist as well as a registered nurse, and he's been doing this for many years and going to roughest prisons. He's been doing prison ministry for well over 20 some plus years, been in places like Rikers Island, places that some people wouldn't dare to go. He's been there. And so I just want to say, man, I appreciate you for the heart you have to really help people because what you do is helping people to realize how important our mental state is, just as well as our physical. And so, man, we appreciate that work you do. And you're going to be hearing much more from these individuals that come before you today in the future. And that's what I want to take a few minutes to talk about what is about rise. I wanted you to understand it's not just a talk where we just have a discussion. It's about true transformation. And I want to share my screen for a second to kind of go deeper. All right. And so let me find the stuff. All right. Can y'all see that? Justin, let me know.
Yeah, yeah, we got you. It's right
All right.
there.
Let me make it big. Let me make it big. Hold on. I had it big a minute ago. Let's figure this. No worries. No worries. We're going to work what we got.
Big now, you good to go, brother.
That's cool, man. But anyway, what we have here is a community. This is not just a membership where you just join a club. It ain't that. We're looking for people who really are moved in their spirit that they want something bigger and better because even though life may be good, they know it's more to it. And I want to share this to kind of set the stage because I want to go back to what Glenn was speaking on earlier. Sometimes our best of days can be our worst of days all at the same time. I've talked to one of my brothers last week, and I've been having it laid on my heart to call brothers and really dig in deeper, and have a deeper discussions with guys outside of the surface level. We ask each other, "How you doing, man? I'm good. I'm having a small talk, but are we really?" We want to make sure that if anything I can do to help you in this journey, I want to be there. I want to support you. I want to see you win because when you win, we win. And what I'm saying is, we all have moments where you may be have an increase, you may get a promotion, you may have had some wins in that area, but what it calls is change. If you get a promotion, do you realize your life is not going to be the same? You're going to have more responsibility, you got more tasks, you got more time you got to give. So that creates unbalance. So now you have anxiety, now you got depression, other things come with the win. So how do we process through it? That's what we talk about. This is what we're building. We're building a community where we can help each other win. A lot of times, us as men don't have an outlet to we can go and conversate and get help through those times. And that's what we're here to. So I want to share with you this. What is Rise Community Cells? Crystal clarity. We want to help you find how to maneuver through this stage, the next phase. I was just even having a conversation. Actually, I got some stuff coming up in the new year where we're going to be on stages talking about couples and things like that. And some of us maybe experience a shift because each level is different. What you gave your wife last season is not what she wants in this season because life changes. And so you got to know how to maneuver and have clarity on how to get to that destination. So we even going to talk about, for those who are older, some of your spouses may be going through menopause. That's another conversation. That's for today. But my point is having clarity on how to get to the destination of where your aim is. We're going to dig in deep on that through our conversations and different things we have laid out. But also, we talk about earned discipline. Man, that's deep. And I'm gonna stuck right here for a second because I said I was gonna say it later, but I'm gonna say it now because people ask me, was I in the army or military? I said no, but I had played football and I had some crazy coaches. And two things I learned and I carry two in this life. And I say you here to get value today. And one thing I want to share with you, and I took note, so I want to make sure I say it right. Okay. One thing I learned playing defense. On defense, I had a coach, Coach Doolin. He was one of the craziest coaches in my life. I still don't like Coach Doolin, but I'd rather get him trouble on the field than have to deal with him on the sideline. But check this out. One thing he taught me was how to hit. And tackling is one thing to make contact, but it's another thing to go through. I was one of the hardest hitters on the team, probably in my area. Reason being because you don't go make contact, you go through the, the contact. And when you think about that, what I'm saying is in life, how did that play? A lot of us just do enough to get the job done. But when you think like that, sometimes you may come up short because guess what? It may require more than what you're willing to give. So you got to already be prepared to go beyond and go the extra mile in everything you do. When you show up, you just don't show up just enough. You don't just bring enough money, but you bring more than enough, and you be willing to not only do enough for you, but you willing to give more than was asked of you. And I want to dig in deep with that. We're going to talk about that. So that's why I got this scrolling across the bottom. I want you to go ahead and click that link or either scan the QR code because we want you to come into the community so we can be able to share what this looks like on the other side. You want to be that person when they think about you, they want you on their team. Why? Because they know you're going to go the extra mile. You're going to bring more than enough anytime you show up. And that's important. But the second thing I get was never give up on the play. Come on, y'all. This coach talk, because I do talk in a lot of parables about football and things like that, but this was so important, is just because the play has passed you, don't stop. Chase
Right.
the play.
Right.
Keep going after it. Don't give up on the play because you'd be surprised at what can happen downfield.
Right.
Imagine if you got past you and you're in the secondary, you're a linebacker or whatever, and then the corner, he swipes the ball and he knocks out the man's hand. If you there, guess what? You can scoop it up and run a touchdown. But if you just gave up on the play, you never have it, make it happen. And all I'm saying is don't give up on yourself just because you had failures, because we all have failures in life. Last Thursday, I went to speak out of middle school. Actually, the same school that Dr. Norris was principal at. I went and spoke back to that middle school last week. And we were going good to about 30 minutes in. Now, some of the kids got restless, young men. And so it kind of took things a little different. But I could have looked at that as being like, man, and been depressed over that moment. Now we did get some things. Not all kids were showing up, but a couple of them did. That could have killed the momentum of my day. But I had a couple more meetings throughout the day, and they were phenomenal. I had a chance to sit with some leaders in the community. I just got a new position with the city, and that's on the planning committee. And I had to meet with the zoning department and all those individuals. Then I had a chance to sit down with the city manager, who's the mayor's boss, and we had a great conversation. But if I would have given up because of what happened earlier, I would not have been in position to receive everything that came later. And so what I'm telling you is don't allow things to take you out of the game. Things will happen, but allow you to build on that. And what I did was one way I can reassess what I need to do differently because we are relying up to come back. And guess what? We're going to knock it out the park next time because guess what? It doesn't discourage you, but it can encourage you to do better the next time. I'll find other ways to tackle or go at that next play. And so all I'm saying with you, this is what we're about. We're about having strong discipline, reevaluating how we're going to be able to deal with whatever life brings our way. Just because it smacked you, guess what? Smack it back. Fight back, believing that you're going to win each and every time because guess what? You are winners. And that's what you position yourself with what we're talking about. And so we also define purpose. We want you to know, not just be happenstance, just define something, but you want to know in deep that what bothers you is what you have been called to fix. In different times in life, you may be shifting. At one point in time, I had mentoring programs. I was doing all things with the youth. Now I'm positioning myself to work with the leaders. That's men who are there to call to work with the youth. Now I do serve and work with them, but that's not me every day, day in. So I'm specific on how I serve. And so when you are defined and understand that purpose, you can be able to be laser beam focused to make sure that you're giving your time, your energy, and your resources to the thing that you can make the best difference in. That's what we're on. So let me move on to the next piece because what we want to do is share with you this. All right. All right. We have several different things we do and several different ways we move. One way is on Mondays. If you click on that link, you're going to be able to tie into our Mondays call. Monday, 8 p.m., we have a men's Zoom call where we come together and we talk for about an hour, hour and a half. Great stuff. But we're not this day. What we're building towards is having more opportunities for us to come together. Monthly, we have power sessions, a deep dive coaching. So, Coach, you just saw right here, Coach Cindy going to be a part of some of those things, and many other great leaders. And we're going to be talking about leadership, discipline, relationships, all these different things that matter to us to build. And then we got accountability. When I think about accountability, it's not another person pointing their finger and telling you what to do and where you're coming up short, but we are holding ourselves accountable to do what we say we're going to do long after the feeling has left. And it's like you're going working out. If you're a heavy lifter, I would not advise you to go in there and work out by yourself. Because if that thing gets stuck on your chest, you need somebody to help you get that up off of you. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to spot you. We're here to walk beside you. We're here to encourage you. We're here to inspire you to reach that goal that you said you feel like it was score for you to do. We want to push you, but love on you also at the same time. Not to hit you when you're down, but to help you lift you up. And you need other men that's in your corner to help you with those things. And so not only that, we have leadership challenges, we have guest experts. Man, when I say so many great people that I've had access to sit under or sit along with and be in the rooms with, man, we're going to bring all that. And I'm pretty sure you have people too. We want to find out who those individuals so we can learn together on how we can empower ourselves. Okay. And then also we're going to have different resources and different tools. So many great things. So just check this out though. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this. I'm gonna skip a couple of slides. I got a whole lot of slides, but I'm gonna share this one with you. We're gonna have four different pillars. We're gonna have helping us to find our identity, discipline, and we're gonna find purpose and leadership. Some of us may not feel like I don't know if I'm a leader, but all of us have a leader in us. John Maxwell said like this: leadership is simply influence. It's not the person in the front of the room all the time, but you have something that you have influence on. And the more you develop yourself, the more you can tap into it, the more you can impact others with that area of influence for the better. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to help you to identify, but activate that area. All right. And so, not only that, this is where I want to lead us to. All right. We have a community. Again, this is not a membership. You ain't join the gym, you ain't join the country club. This ain't that. We lacing up and going out there and get it. And so what this community is, you have other community. When I say community, I don't know about you, but when I lived in the projects, we came out, we were connected. On the weekends, we all outside hanging out. Now I live in a neighborhood with houses and nobody know each other. My neighbor on the right don't know my neighbor on the left. You know what I'm saying? So we're not doing this together. So what we're building is something we can do together. We can be able to get in the trenches and make changes because we want to see you win. I want to see me win. And we're here to help each other. You know what I'm saying? We police ourselves. And so that's what community. And we're going to talk more deeper on what that looks like, but also having structure, having coaching. He'll have different areas we're growing. And again, accountability. And also we'll lead by example. If I had to say this, is if we're not here as a Bible study. This is not every week we come, we're going to open up the Romans, whatever. But one thing I stand on, everything is kingdom minded. We don't just focus on all black men, we focus on all men. All right. So everybody's welcome, whether you Jew or whether you Muslim. We're not getting into that. We want to love. Love is our foundation. And but on top of that, we lead by example. And I stand on certain scripture that I stand on. That's Matthew 5:16, which it says this: so let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and follow your Father which is in heaven. What is that saying? You have lights on, but when you have a spotlight, it execute, and it kind of lightens up the room that much more. Be the spotlight in that room. Don't be the you want to be the thermostat and not the thermometer. You want to bring energy. You want to bring change. You want to be that one that you know whenever you step in there, you will help. And that's what we're going to talk about, how to lead by example, because you can say the best message without using words. You know what I'm saying? So how you live is what's going to speak to others, and they're going to follow. But then let's go here. I want to share with you what this community looks like. Right now, we have the free tier. And when I say what you're getting for free is awesome, that's where you're going to have access to the calls we have on a weekly basis. But not only that, you're going to have access to a monthly motivational drop videos, audios, all kind of great things we have already lined up. And then we're going to have access to we're going to have unlimited reading engagements type things. We're going to have all kind of different emails and also connections outside of that space. So you can be able to build relationships. That's the whole focus. And so we're going to have different type of events. Quarterly, we come together and we have different type of fellowships. We also want to educate each other. We have times where we have workshops and things like that. We're going to invite you to be a part of all those things. And then you also have early access to those announcements. That's great. Sign up and be a part of that now. But those who want to go a step further, we got something even more for you. We have the access pass. And what this looks like, you get everything that we just spoke of, but then you get something even more. You're going to have opportunity to get the membership course. This is actually where we're going to have a built out course. We've actually been working with some team and they have a phenomenal laid out course we're going to release on January 12th. But definitely go ahead and get it now because you're not going to get that same special then. That membership course is going to have so many great things. You're going to have mastermind classes. You're going to have behind the scene content. We're going to have also exclusive perks. We're going to have digital resources, workshops, and worksheets and things like that. But also our community where you can join a community group, which is going to be on Facebook, and also go high level. No doubt. And then we're going to have weekly, of course, our calls and things like that. But we're going to go more deep. We're going to really find out what it is that you're wanting to do and going to get behind that and help you to really find ways to get there. Now, this is great. Now, if I had to ask anybody, what do you think that's worth? I would literally say, man, for everything we're doing, it'd be in the thousands, hands down. Because you got to realize time is valuable when you're learning and you're around the right people who can help you to accomplish that next phase, next level, and that next area in your life. It's priceless. And so what we're talking about is $47 a one-time lifetime now today. That's crazy. And so what that gives you is for now to from ever on access to a community that's going to be there with you, walking through this life with you. All right. But if any other time, it's $19 a month. Yeah. Or if a person want to pay yearly, they can do that for $197. But just for today, you can do that for 47. The information on the screen, go ahead and scan the barcode. Don't think second about it. But we can even go further than that. All right. The next tier we have is called the Rise Leadership Circle. Oh man, we're getting there. What I'm saying is you have the elite group of people who really want to see themselves not just on the team. I don't know if you got the bench riders, but I never like to sit on the sidelines. If I'm on the team, I want to be on the field on all the time. I play offense, defense, special teams. It don't matter. I want to be on the field because I want to be a helper to make sure we win. And so this is for you. We have, like I say, growth. We got accountability. We get results, but also the things you get beyond everything else. You're gonna have a monthly accountability group, mastermind people. We got people who strive in that same lane, whether you're in the business sector, whether if you in serving the civil side of things. We're gonna have different areas where we're gonna come together to make sure you get the help and the resources that can help you do whatever you're aiming for. All right. And then we're gonna have again guest speakers gonna have special times where we're gonna be doing these things. Also, myself as well as Justin, who's here now, we AI consultants. And what does that look like? I know some people are like, oh, that's the devil. I don't want to mess with the AI. But guess what? It's not going anywhere. Either you're gonna learn now or somebody gonna tell you how you can use it later. But it's here. And what you want to do is position yourself to be able to find ways to it can work for you. And that's what we do. And I got some times coming up soon where we're going to be educating people on how we can use AI and what we do. Even using these slides right here, we were able to use AI to help with that. And even in the music you listen to, those are AI tools we use. So it's so many great things that can help you to simplify what it is you do. And we want to show those who want to learn that. All right. Also, we're going to have partner-led courses. This is great because guess what? All of us have something to bring to the table, but those who like you have some leaders here today, like the Arsenio's and Mr. Glenn Brown, even my dad, they have a specialty where they're going to be able to teach you in a course on how you can be able to use their information to help better you. So they're going to be use some of the people as well as you have opportunity. If you have an expertise, we want to learn and have you an opportunity where you can be able to share in these trainings, be on a next live or whatever we're doing. We want you to be on some of those stages. We have some great things coming up in 2026, and you want to definitely have you on those stages and help be a part of what our piece called Speak Life, because this is where we go out and carry the message to the community, and we want you to be on that team, no doubt. And on top of that, we have partner led, will cost like on 10 days, 15 days, 30-day personal development challenges. So we're gonna have challenges throughout, and we're gonna also not just to do something, but do everything with meaning. And so we're gonna be doing those type things. Quarterly virtual men's summits. We're gonna have priority access to live events. So we have the general, but then we're gonna have some special events where you're gonna be have privilege to that be able to be in certain rooms around the right people that's gonna help push you take you to the next level. And then discount on certain merch, different books and different programs. Anything we have, we're gonna make sure you have access to that. And guess what? All that along with the free and the other for the access pass just today for $97. Crazy. Again, this area in ministry or in what we're doing is not about a money grab. But every area in ministry is, for those who don't know, is serving. Serving. But it does cost. Everything you do is a cost to it. Right now, all this power I'm using is a cost. But you the greatest asset you have, you can be able to get these things and you can be able to invest into yourself to be able to make yourself better. So for $97, this is what you get. And if you don't get it just today, it's gonna go to $49 a month. And it's 497 a year. So I'm telling you, this is a no-brainer. We got other tiers that we're gonna be introducing later. But right now, hey, I just invite you to be a part of the family of what we're building. And again, this is not about trying to be the largest and the biggest out there, because that's not what we do. I want you to understand what we're building. And if anybody know the difference between in military, you got your army, your navies, you got your Marines, and everybody say we the best. Yeah. Now they great at what they do, not just credit that. I appreciate all the years of service, but there is another group that's hand down. There's a couple of them, but I'm just gonna speak of this one, the Navy SEALs. I don't think it's a conversation. You know what I'm saying? They the special groups. When they go in, it's a wrap. That's what we building. So we don't need thousands, millions, and nothing like that. We ain't on that. But when we step in the room, you know we're there. We're like David's men. He had the men of valor. Those men of valor would take out hundreds of guys, one man. Don't know. But my whole thing is we are change agents. Just like in a room, we can change in a room. Think of it like this. What bothers me sometimes when I'm in spaces, especially like in church, I see a man, he only come because his wife made him come out. He just feel like that was he had to do it that way. We don't have a true relationship with God on our own to be convicted where I move because I can move. But then not only that, if you see a need in this space, how will you help to serve in that space? I see women over here serving, can I at least offer myself to help? I do as soon as I can afford. Those are small things. It may not be for you to do, but you have something that you've been called to do. I want you to tap into it. So today we're gonna lean into it more, but I'm gonna get out the way because I want to hear the next thing you got. I just want to invite you to join in on our community and our main mission out of all this we do is to build a brotherhood. A brotherhood. We're not trying to compete against nobody else. I'm a part of other groups. We have our men's ministry at church. I'm a part of that. I'm a part of other groups. But one thing we will have here is a strong brotherhood. And with that said, Justin, thank you for allowing me to share. Back to you, my brother.
Let's go. All right, I love that. So again, you heard him. Scan the QR code if you want to get into the community now, because the price goes up. This is going to be a powerful place to be. So, all right. So our next speaker brings a unique blend of leadership, service, and sustainability. Michael Dillard is a global speaker, executive coach, and financial literacy advocate who has worked at the highest levels of leadership and pressure. He's a former U.S. diplomat, an Army veteran who understands what it means to lead when the stakes are high and the margins for error is very low. Michael's work focuses on leadership development, burnout recovery, and helping leaders thrive sustainably without losing themselves in the process. This is about longevity, clarity, and leading with intention, not exhaustion. So please help me welcome Michael Dillard to the stage. Welcome in, Michael Dillard. How you doing, brother? Welcome in. Welcome in. Glad to have you here with us.
Blessed. Thank you for the great introduction. I've been listening behind the scene. Wow, we had so many powerful speakers, especially Mr. Dodson. That was powerful. The one and only Stephen Loney. Great information. We had Pastor on. We had Dr. Williams on. And we got some more great speakers coming as well. I heard Dr. Mayweather is going to be on as well. So make sure y'all stay tuned. Let me share my screen real quick. And while I try to share my screen, can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, and we can see you perfectly. Your audio and video looks great.
Okay. And then let me know if can you see my slide?
We can. Yes, sir.
All right. All right. All right. So today, let me make sure I set my timer here. So I'm on time. We got to respect time as men. We got to make sure we respect people's time and their resources. So my name is Michael Dillard. I teach compound leadership. Today, I'm going to focus on listen. I normally talk about listen, empower, adapt, and develop. Before I begin, let me tell you a little bit about who I am. I'm a global leadership strategist, 20 years of experience. I retired as a U.S. diplomat. Here's one of my U.S. diplomatic passports, another one, and then another one full of stamps, visas, and etc. So here are some of the countries I had the great fortune to live and work with my family: in the Dominican Republic, Zambia, Afghanistan. Because of security, I was there by myself. My family joined me in the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Africa, and in Washington, D.C. But before that, my story is this. Imagine this: a little boy, 11 years old. You're sitting on your porch. It's 80 degrees outside and it's the summer. You see a little boy run to the mailbox, stick his hand inside the mailbox, pull out an envelope, and runs back inside saying, "It's here, it's here." The boy's excited and happy. All of a sudden, you see his mom come out, his two brothers come out. They hop in a 1979 sky blue Oldsmobile, the type of vehicle that gets 5 miles per gallon. Now you're wondering, what is this excitement about? So here's what you do. You jump in the car with us. Next thing you know, my mom puts that thing in reverse. She backs out the driveway. She puts it in drive, and we're rolling down the street. Gets to the stoplight, we turn right. Then at the next light, we turn left, and we are yelling, screaming, "We're here, we're here." She parks the car. We jump out the car, excited. You look up, like, why are they so excited? You see that envelope had $200 worth of food stamps. It made the difference between us eating good for 2 weeks and starving for 2 weeks. We were broke, but still living. But I told myself that day, education is going to unlock doors that was once locked to me as a young boy. I went on and got my degree. Life was good. I started making more money. Then I said, it's time to open more doors. So I went and got my MBA in personal finance. I started making more money. Next thing you know, I'm working at Dell Computers. Life is good. We had our first child, got married, etc., got the house, got the car. And then all of a sudden, the personal development bug hit me. Said, Michael, it's time for you to go back and get your master's in accounting. I said, no, I'm good. I'm making good money. I got the house, the car, the family. The development bug said, Michael, do you still listen to music, listen to a cassette tape? I said, no. I listen to CDs. Okay, when it's time to watch a movie, do you put in that beta cassette tape? I said, no, I'm watching DVDs. Now I know I'm dating myself. And that was the point. The point was that your skills will diminish over time. They will become extinct. So you have to listen to your mindset. Listen when it's time to change and pivot. So I went back and got my master's in accounting. And as soon as I got my master's in accounting, I got laid off. That's right. In 2008. Does anybody know what happened in 2008? What crisis was hitting America in 2008? Type it in the chat if you know the answer to it. What happened in 2008? The mortgage crisis, folks. Everybody was scrambling. The money was not flowing. So I started applying for job after job after job. No job, no interview. And then all of a sudden an opportunity came to be an assistant store manager in the mall. But my wife was pregnant at the time. And she said, Michael, don't take that job. I went to the interview anyway. And while I'm in the mall interviewing, my wife is walking around with her pregnant belly, praying I don't get the job. Imagine that. Who does that? I was excited thinking I was going to get the job. So the next morning I wake up and I look for an email, but the email that I received was not from the store. It was an email that said, we want you, Michael Dillard, to come to Washington, D.C. to interview to be a financial controller with the United States Agency for International Development. As I read through the requirements, it said I had to pass a top secret security clearance, had to pass a medical background check. And guess what? I had to have a master's in accounting. Folks, this is what it comes to when I say you have to listen. You have to listen to your mindset. You have to realize that when your inner voice, inner strength is talking to you, you have to tap in, you have to tune in, because you don't know what it's helping you to become tomorrow. As men, we have to rise up. We have to pay attention to our families, our loved ones, to find out what are their needs, what are their struggles, how can we become better fathers, how can we become better leaders. Fast forward, yes, I did get the job. I did become a U.S. diplomat, leading across multiple countries. So I want to share a quick leadership tip with you for those who are leading other people. You have to listen with empathy. And you listen with empathy by doing this. Look at this scene. The person looks like they're what? Are they having a good time? No, they're not. As managers, you have to be aware of your actions and how you come off. Simon Sinek said it best. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about caring for those in your charge. As a leader, are you really caring for those in your charge? If not, here's what I want you to do. Take a screenshot of this. Go to work on Monday and ask 2 of your employees, how was your weekend? Like really ask them, how was your weekend? Or you can say, when you're working on a project, what ideas do you have? You might be the boss, but it doesn't hurt you to get extra information, extra feedback from others. And when it comes to making that difficult conversation, you can say, if I heard you correctly, you said you didn't like this platform. If I heard you correctly, you think that we spend too much time writing reports. Then that person has time to clarify. Say, no, it's not that we spend too much time writing reports. It's just that John and Sarah are both doing the same job. Why not let one of them do it and let me work on something else? So leadership compounds over time. Listening compounds over time. In order to have empathy and buy-in with your team, you have to do these things on a weekly basis. Don't have the big Christmas party or New Year Eve party and think it's all done, that one big party. No, it comes by compound. So I have a quiz for you real quick. If you take $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 and you invest it every month for 30 years at 9% interest, how much money will you have? Yup, $915,000. If you notice, If you never invest, you never have anything. If you never invest in your people, you won't have any buy-in. You have no trust. Leadership is all about making those deposits of trust. Every time you have a meeting with them, every time you say, "How was your weekend?" It's an investment of trust. Every time you say, "What ideas do you have?" Another investment of trust. And what happens is that it starts to compound over time. So here's a homework I like to give when I'm coaching people one-on-one. I like to give homework because objects in motion stay in motion. Your homework: how will you ensure buy-in with your team? 1 year from today, what type of leader do you want to be known as? John Maxwell said it best: everything rises and falls based on leadership. So I want to make sure I stay on time. If you do me a favor, if you can scan the QR code, provide some feedback. And when you scan the QR code, you're going to have access to my leadership toolkit, which is free, FREE, free access, so that you can grow in your career, so that you can get the job that you want, so that you can pass the interview, so that you can make more money. And most importantly, folks, if you're on the call, make sure you join the Rise movement. The hosts today, they're doing a phenomenal job. They're spending hours of their time to help you become a better person in 2026. The question for you is, are you going to become the same person today, or are you going to become a better person next year? Next year, this time, who will you be? Will you be a better leader, a better person, a better man, a better spouse? That's my time. I appreciate it, everybody. If you want to get in contact with me, then you can go to michaeldillardspeaks.com, or you can email me, info@michaeldillardspeaks.com. That's my time. Appreciate y'all.
Oh, Michael, thank you so much. What you just gave us was not a story about success. It was a lesson in listening. You remind us that in moments of unclarity or uncertainty, when everything feels unstable, leadership starts on the inside. It starts with awareness, it starts with empathy, and it starts with paying attention, right? So from 2008 financial crisis to becoming a U.S. diplomat, the thread was not luck, okay? It was alignment. It was humility. It was the willingness to listen when others might panic or force outcomes, right? So you also made something incredibly clear today, that leadership is not positional. Leadership is relational, okay? This, trust is not built in one big moment. It compounds, conversations by conversation, question by question, investment by investment. And what and when this happens is up to you. When leaders invest in people, buy-in follows. That reminder was super powerful for me. That framework was practical, and the message, it will stay with us. Thank you, Michael, for being here, for being the leader that you are, for your service and your wisdom today. We appreciate you coming in and showing up for us, brother. If you guys didn't already scan the code, please connect with him on social media. Are you on social media, Michael?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am. Just go to michaeldillardspeaks.com, and then you'll be able to access me on LinkedIn or on Instagram and etc.
All right, perfect. Thank you again, Michael, for being here. We appreciate you so much, brother. Love you, and we will see you soon. You guys connect with him outside of here, okay? Thanks again, Michael. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, so what you just heard speaks directly to identity, responsibility, and how we show up as leaders in real life. And to continue this conversation around faith, leadership, and identity, we are honored to welcome our very next speaker. So Dr. Dar Mayweather is a faith leader, educator, and diversity consultant who knows and is known for his work in inclusive leadership and identity development. And as the founder and CEO of Good Mayweather Consulting, he guides individuals and organizations in fostering equity, belonging, and cultural awareness with clarity and conviction. He brings depth, he brings insight, and he brings a voice that speaks directly to who we are and who we are becoming. Please help me welcome Dr. Dar Mayweather to the stage. Let's go, Doctor. How you doing, brother? Welcome in, King.
Hey, I'm great. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. We can see you perfectly.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen because, of course, it got a good word. Oh, and of course, I can't do that until I allow for it to do that.
You got this. You got this. Let's go. You got this, brother.
All right. And I am on the work computer, so we're gonna just move forward, right? We're gonna move forward. It's all right. Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the RISE framework, and one of the things I want to make sure I share a framework on is how men can, uh, who are tired of drifting, get ready to lead with intention. And so, thank you for that amazing introduction. Thank you, Stephen. Happy birthday to you, my friend. It's important that we also recognize that we are all growing in this. Where I am today is not where I was, and I think for many of us, we don't forgive ourselves for who we were and allow ourselves to be who we're supposed to become. And so, for me, I'm be honest, like a big question I even talk when I talk with students. A lot of my work is around helping student leaders articulate their natural gifts and talents to industry leaders so that they can get a job before graduation, right? Because we know that 52% of college students graduate without a job, right? And so this is a huge part of my work. I'm also a faculty member at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. I teach leadership studies. So I work with not only college students, but college going high school students. And so one of the things I always tell them is, or I ask them a question is, how do you go from a 0.5 student to a PhD? And that is truly my journey. And you have to rise internally before you rise externally. And so I wish I could show y'all these slides, but unfortunately, I'm on the work computer and they got it locked down. So it's like, yeah, you can't, I can't add no stuff. So we're going to just keep moving forward. The RISE framework, I want to make sure that I get that to you all. It's first, the R stands for reality check. The I stands for internal pressures that you need to name. The S stands for structured clarity. And the E stands for execute with intention. And so let's keep this thing forward, right? I'll be honest, my career journey started a long time ago. Before I worked in higher education professionally, I honestly had no idea that I was already doing it as a college student. As a college student, be honest, confused. I graduated high school with a 2.3 GPA. I graduated with the 9th worst or the 10th worst GPA in my graduating class. Like literally 9 people had better. I mean, 9 people had worse GPAs than me. And when I got into college as a first generation college student, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I just thought I wanted to go to college because most of my friends were going to college. Also, I didn't want to work in the factory and the military didn't want me. And so I was like, college is the route. Immediately got in college, got involved. And I'm be honest, like I floundered. Although I was an RA, I was an orientation leader. I took students on alternative spring breaks. My grades wasn't at the greatest, right? And I'll be honest, I got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and I did everything but criminal justice. I sold fitness equipment. I worked at a sports store, right, in retail. I worked in a mental health hospital. I did practically everything else but criminal justice. And so when I graduated, I didn't have a job. And I had to go to mentors, and mentors really helped me see that it's not just what you are learning in the classroom, but it's also about where you're leading in the community. And many times what we're not doing is we're not leaning on the things that we experience. We're leaning on the knowledge that we have. And unfortunately, we're in an industry or we're in an economy that doesn't care about how much knowledge you have. They care about how much experience you got. And so I had experience working on campus. I had experience working with college students. And so I transitioned into getting a degree in a master's degree in education, higher education, student affairs leadership, became a hall director, became a coordinator for multicultural affairs, became an academic success coordinator before I became a faculty member. And so not only do I have experience working on the student affairs or outside of the classroom, I have experience working inside the classroom. And so there's not much that I haven't experienced in the education field as it relates to higher education. Like, this is why I know what I know about the work that I do. Not only that, as a professional speaker, I've worked with some of the top brands in the country. Talk about the NBA. I've talked with some of the NBA. You talk about Chartwells, right? $billion companies. I've also worked with some of the top institutions in the country. You talk about the University of Michigan. You talk about Indiana. We're talking about Grand Valley State, which is where I graduated, right? We can even talk about schools that are in the state of North Carolina. So I've worked with North Carolina A&T, working on trying to get some connections with UNC Chapel Hill. Like, I have done it. And so what I want to try to say is that I'm qualified to have this conversation with you about how to execute at a whole nother level. And so let's go deeper into the RISE framework. So the first part of the RISE framework is our reality check. Listen, a lot of men are showing up, doing what they're supposed to do. They're working, they're providing. At the same time, they can't clearly explain where their life is heading and why, right? They're busy, but they're not anchored. They're productive, but not fulfilled, like our coach Arsenio said, right? They're respected, but internally they're unsure, so they're insecure. And I'm gonna be real, the first 10 years of my career, I was on my couch smoking and drinking every day, playing video games, didn't have no purpose. And although I worked at some of the top institutions in the state of Michigan, I had no motion, even though I had motion, even though I wasn't moving, right? I wasn't able to even move myself, let alone my community. Even though I had a master's degree, I felt unsuccessful. And most men are not lost, they're just unclear, right? That's the same reason why I sat on the couch every day. Like, I didn't have any aspirations, even though I knew in my mind I was supposed to be doing something bigger than just playing video games. And so this is not because we lack character. This is not an attack on people's character, especially if that's you, where you see yourself, you get off work and you just see yourself in a constant cycle of oppression with internally, externally, addiction, doubt, fear, right? I'm trying to help you see that there's more to you than what is on your couch, but there's some leadership gaps. And if you're not able to take that reality check to say, like, I'm not actually being who I'm supposed to be right now, then you're going to continue to have that issue, right? And so I want to continue moving this thing forward, because the next thing is identifying the internal pressures. Right? When a man lacks clarity, it shows up in everything that you commit to. Not only that, but also you overcommit because you don't know what you're supposed to say no to. And so you hesitate to lead in things that you're supposed to lead. And then you go forward and lead in things that you're not supposed to lead, right? And so this makes your life harder. And it not only makes it harder at home, it makes it harder at work. And it also depletes your confidence, because confidence is built, right? It's not bought, right? You can't just make up confidence. You have to exude it. And so that comes from within, right? And so how many of you might be feeling what I'm saying right now? You feel depressed, you feel unsuccessful because the expectation that you had on your life is not the thing that actually is the reality of your life. And so I'm being honest, I wasted so much time making other people's emergency my priority, that once I had a son, once I started a family, I realized that I wasn't the man that I needed to be for him to be successful, right? Because we mimic what we see. And so I see a lot of parents mad that their children are out in the streets or out doing drugs or out drinking, but what did they see you do every day? What did they see you do when you were watching sports or going out and hanging out with friends or whatever, right? It's not just what we say, it's what we do. And so I'm not blaming nobody, because my son can end up like that, even though I don't really live that life. At the same time, I have to recognize that if I don't show him anything different, it's easier for him to be influenced by the world, right? And so unclear men carry this pressure that they never meant to carry alone. This is the emotional weight of what you're doing or the emotional weight that you're holding, the internal pressures that you're holding, I need you to understand that if you don't be vulnerable in telling somebody, that you will never get strong enough to actually lead a community, right? Vulnerability is always courage. It's always strength. It's never weakness. It's actually an opportunity for you to flip the script and gain more power so you can let people know what you're going through. But many times we don't do that, right? We want to stand in perfection, even though we realize that perfection is not a real thing, right? Especially for all of us humans on this earth. And so here's the S for our journey today, right? Is we need to structure the clarity. And so you need to get help, right? Mentorship, coaching, community, like what Stephen and Justin has done for us today. Clarity coaching gives men language for what you've lived, what you've learned, and what you're responsible for next. This is why I coach, because coaching is a tool, it's not therapy, right? I'm not here to tell you how to solve your problems. I'm here to tell you that you might have some problems that's getting in the way of you having the success that you truly want. And in order for you to do both, you got to do both, right? In order for you to have success personally, you need therapy. In order for you to have success professionally, sometimes you need coaching, right? And I ain't gonna lie, act like I got here without both, right? Working with some of the top coaches in the country, in the world for the last 5 years. I'm not new to this, I'm true to this, right? I've been in therapy now since 2019. Now I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, I'm a better educator, I'm a better professional speaker and business owner, right? Not only, it's so much I can go deeper into, but here's clarity is not motivation, it's alignment, right? The position, this positions your work as practical, grounded, and results driven. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to pay me money if I'm not getting results. And so we got to do the last thing, which is execute with intention, right? So RISE, RISE, right? Execute with intention. And so RISE is about helping men like you stop drifting and start deciding, not reacting to life, but leading life, not guessing in your value, but naming your value, right? Clarity coaching is for men who know they're not done. They're done carrying the silence and confusion, right? This is a call to action, right? If you're a man that has had responsibility, but doesn't know exactly how to align your responsibility in your career so that you have the success not only in your life, in your house, but outside of the house, coaching is the next step for you. Whether it's with me, with somebody else on this call, whoever you think it is, I need you to know that it's clear that you are here because you need help, right? And so don't believe me. You can believe some of my clients, right? I got one client who talked about how I'm literally reading a testimonial right here, and I would have had it on slides here. I got it literally on slides for you, but they said, Dr. Dar's career clarity program helped me do more than find direction. It helped me find the language for who I already was. I already know my story carried purpose, but Dr. Dar showed me how to connect it to a professional mission. His process pushed me to look inward, to align my values with my vision, to stand confident in my own experience. Another person said, working with Dr. Dar has been transformative. His coaching has helped me clarify my mission, vision, and impact with precision I couldn't do on my own. He challenged me to step out of survival mode and identify my core framework, which is now the thing that he has done to triple his income, and align his story with a clear business strategy. Listen, the RISE framework is truly for you, right? Reality check. Like, get real where you are right now. The internal pressures that you're facing. What is it? Insecurity? Is it financial? Right? What is the internal pressures that's in your mind that's holding you back from moving forward? What's the structured clarity that you need? Right?
what is it that you need to do to put in place in order for you to be able to get to the next level? I needed therapy. I needed coaching. I paid thousands, might be at the hundreds of thousands to get that type of clarity. And then you need to execute. And oftentimes what we do is we try to execute in isolation, right? You need accountability, whether that's in the home or outside the home, whether you're paying for it or it's free, whatever you're doing, I need you to know that you need to execute with intention. And so putting this on your calendar, putting your work on your calendar, like one of the reasons why I became Dr. Dar, or I was able to become Dr. Dar, is because I got into a coaching community that helped me set a goal every single day of the year. And so I tracked every single quarter what I accomplished, so that last 2 or 3 years of doing the dissertation, I needed to get focused. I had a community that I set a goal with every single day to execute. And then the next day I followed up with that community, and then we reported out what we executed. And so I hope this was helpful for you, right? And if you need more help, right, I had a little survey here that you can actually like go into, but it doesn't matter. You know, you can find me on socials at drdarmayweather.com. Okay, drdarmayweather.com or at drdarmayweather on practically everything: LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. You can find me. Truly, if it's not me, it needs to be somebody that helps you get to the next level, because nobody is self-made. Everybody that's successful has somebody that was in community to get with you and to help you see the finish line. That's my time. I'm thankful for you all. Hey, be great. Okay, I keep going. Okay, sure. Hey, some questions. Is anybody questions in the chat? Anything? Anybody got any questions for me? Sure, throw them in the chat. All right, I'm here. Sure, I'm on air. Can y'all hear me? Okay, yeah. Okay, I see the volume. What we got? Anybody? Okay, there we go. Dr. Dom. Hey, I appreciate you, Steven. All right, let's keep going. Bump it. Why not? Hey, another thing I want y'all to know.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no, go ahead, Justin. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's go. Okay, cool. No, so Dr. Mayweather, thank you for coming up. You know, what you just gave us was not a resume. It was a reality check. You know, you remind us that purpose is not about perfection. It's about progression. You know what I mean? From a 2.3 GPA to national stages, you know, from floundering to focused, from motion without direction to leadership with intention, bro, you got it going on. You showed us that experience definitely matters. You know, that growth is built in community, and that clarity comes when a man is willing to be honest about where he is and courageous about where he is going. You also named something critical for us today, which is men are not broken, they're unclear. You know, busy but not anchored, productive but not fulfilled, you know, respected on the outside but uncertain on the inside. And the shift happens when a man is willing to look at his reality, name the internal pressure he is carrying, and vulnerability instead of isolation. That message was absolutely necessary. That message was real. And that message closes this conversation exactly where it needs to land. So again, thank you, Dr. Mayweather, for being here, being a part of this, showing up, showing out, and just giving those gems to the people who are listening again. So thank you so much for being here, Doc. We appreciate your time, brother.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Love you, brother. All right, cool. So before we get to closing this out, let's take a moment to reflect on what we covered today. So we started with order, understanding that relationship, calling, and vocation must follow God's design, not our convenience. Okay, we talked about responsibility and response, how cycles repeat when ownership is avoided, and how freedom begins when a man stops blaming the outside and starts leading from the inside. Okay, we learn emotional regulation and internal control. That anxiety does not define you, and that control is a skill that can be practiced and strengthened. We heard about leadership, empathy, and listening. That trust is not built in one big moment, but through consistent deposits over time. And we ended with clarity, vulnerability, and identity. That men do not lack potential, they lack space, structure, and a brotherhood to grow with. This was not just an event, this was an alignment. This is what it looks like when men stop doing life and, just period, and start rising together. We don't want to be alone. We want to rise together. So thank you to every speaker. Thank you to every man who showed up and present. And thank you for choosing growth over comfort. And before we close out, I want to bring up Stephen one more time to the stage. Stephen, would you mind coming up here one more time for us, brother?
Hey, my brother, can you hear me? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yep. Loud and clear. Yep.
Man, so thankful to you for just holding it down, man, bringing everything together, man. You did a phenomenal job just making sure it was executed. And what people don't know, it was a lot of backstage stuff. And we made it happen. And you really came through for us, man. So thank you so much, Justin. And what others don't know, you on the West Coast, so you got up early to be here. And so, man, that speaks volume of the man that you are, that you really about giving, and you got a heart of serving. And so, man, from day one, bro, you been in the trenches, and you won. I'm glad to call you my brother. And so, others who came on the stage, man, for my dad, thank you so much for coming through, Dad. I love you and I appreciate you been a man that I can always say no excuses because I've seen your journey. I know what you've been through and you still have pushed past. So you helped me to be the man who I am. I'm thankful for that. For my pastor, thank you so much, Pastor Modus, for being a man that you are to help me to realize, identify my truth, so who I can be, me, and also be who God want me to be also, and not have to be this play the role of being religious. Just being who you are. And then also my guy Norris, man, I can't say so much kind, spirited brother that's done a lot and doing a lot, but he's always one to make himself available to help others. So great. And then you have the other likes such as you got Michael, man. I can truly say the reason why we're here is one because of Michael. He introduced me to this space and helped me to get involved with the virtual side of things. I was doing stuff in person, but when I met him, we kicked off and started with the Men on the Rise. And then from there, we just kept on going. And so I thank you so much, Mike. Always been a great brother. You can have my brother Glenn, phenomenal guy. Really has a heart to serve other men. Thank you so much, as well as Arsenio. We just get in the trenches, but from day one, he's always been one to go above and beyond a servant leader. Look forward to that. And also for Dr. Da, who just came up the bat. He's actually our president of our speakers organization, which is the Next Level Carolina chapter. He's definitely always a servant leader who definitely goes above and beyond to make sure he goes above and beyond to help and serve. And man, so when I say you've been in the room with so many great men, thank y'all for giving me a day to come and celebrate with me, to be able to share with others and to help others realize this is a brotherhood. We can't do it on our own. It's going to take each and every one of us to do our part in order to move forward. And so I just want to recap again what we're doing here. Again, is a brotherhood, and it's building a community, but also to create transformation for those who we know in our heart of heart we here to make a difference in. And so I want to share this with you. Not only do you have your membership that I shared with you earlier, but you also have more than this day. We also have bonuses within this community. Some of the bonuses you're going to receive is a foundational playbook. We're going to have digital guides. We're going to have all kind of materials that you're going to be able to have to track and help you along this journey. Also, like I said, we're going to have 30-day rise challenges, and it's going to be rewarding. So many great things we're going to do. We're going to make this fun. Working does not have to be all this work. We're going to have fun while you work, right? And then we're also going to have minimum rise replay vault. So this being a founding member gonna give you actually access to the free plays and the things we do in the future. You're gonna be able to dig back and while you working, I would say with Drive Time University or whatever, you have access to going back to it because uh, this should be a progression. And so you learning doesn't stop when you get out of school, but that's when real learning begins because now you're able to learn what those things are going to make a difference. And we want to make sure we doing those things with you. Also, we're gonna have live goal settings, vision sessions. So we're gonna have different ways. We're gonna really be intentional on setting the bar and finding out what that looks like for each other. And so we're gonna be digging in deeper with that. All right. And then accountability partner matching. So we encourage networking. We encourage you getting to know other men that can be a part of your journey. We're gonna be doing those things, but then we're gonna also have our founding members status. So wherever you get locked in, you locked in. So I would encourage you to lock in now because things will increase over time. But you want to make sure not just for that factor, but you get everything you can get by being in the right room with the right people. So again, I want to thank each and every one. Join us. Click the link or either scan the QR code. Let's get involved. Let's build this thing together because this is not just my community. This is ours. And I welcome you as my brother to walk this journey of life with me. Again, Justin, I thank you so much for stepping up because it was another person who was supposed to step in, but you just took the bat and you ran with it, man. You did a phenomenal job, bro. And so I thank you so much for all you did and all you're doing, man. And I'm gonna turn it back over to you to close us out, man. But thank y'all so much. Please share this with others. And if you like this and you know this is for you, don't keep it to yourself. That's selfish. But when you know you want to help somebody else, man, let's definitely share this with somebody else so they can be blessed as well. We're gonna see you in the community. Y'all be great.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. I want to thank every speaker who poured into this space today. And I want to thank every man who stayed present and leaned in. What we built here really, truly matters. Take what you received today and apply it because, faith without works is dead. So do not let it sit. Do not let it fade away. Growth does not come from information. It comes from our action. Stay connected, stay accountable, and let's keep rising. One person at a time. Each person, we got to all do our part. So on behalf of the Rise community, thank you for being here. We appreciate every one of you being here. And for the people who see the replay, make sure to scan the QR code. We honor you, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen Sr., for birthing such a positive child, for somebody who's just a blessing to have around. He's made such an impact on me and even my family in such a short period of time of knowing him. So thank you to you, Dr. Stephen, for being a part of this and raising such a beautiful child. So we appreciate you, we honor you, and we look forward to walking this journey together. So have a powerful rest of your day, the rest of your week, and the rest of your guys' year. Hopefully God blesses us as we should be. We love you so much, and we will see you guys in the near future. God bless you all. We'll see you soon. Thanks again for coming, you guys.